Within the same few hours as the Garuba signing, we also had the reports that the Warriors will meet with NBA veteran Dwight Howard this coming week or in the next few days about a potential role with the Warriors, obviously with their vacant 14th roster spot. So Dwight Howard, it'd be super interesting. It'd be fascinating to see him on the Warriors. It'd be crazy, to be honest. But I can't sit here and say that I'm desperate for the Warriors to add to their center rotation and then be picky and choosy about who they select. And I spoke about that on last episode in regard to Dwayne Dedmon and Derek Favors, neither of which I think are fantastic, options by any means. But there probably aren't really any fantastic options in terms of big men for the Warriors' 14th roster spot. And I think Dwight Howard kind of fits into the same kind of mold. So I don't want to be too hypocritical by saying that, hey, I really want the Warriors to sign a center, but then, have them sign Dwight Howard and think that's an absolute stinky signing kind of thing. So he is going to be 38 in a couple of months here, though. And I think that's the big thing here for me is trying to evaluate how much impact Dwight Howard's going to be able to have when he's 38 in a couple of months. A lot of workload on his body. Didn't play in the NBA at all last season. I think when you get to the age that he is now, you really have to question whether or not he's going to be able to come back from having a year out of the league. Obviously, he played in Taiwan and put up big numbers there, but who really cares, in all honesty? How much impact is he going to be able to have here? But I guess for me now it's, well, does he really have to have much impact? And at this point, particularly with the signing of Garuba, I think that the need for the 14th roster spot being a center is a little bit less now with Garuba available, because I think at a stretch you can put Garuba or Jackson Davis out there for 5-10 minutes every third, fourth game, if need be, depending on injury issues and foul trouble and stuff like that. So the need for a center, I think, is a little bit less, which means, to me, if they go with Dwight Howard, if they go with Dwayne Dedmon, if they go with Derek Favors, if they look at Blake Griffin, at this point, it doesn't really matter to me who they pick out of these guys, if they do pick one of these guys, because you're going to be putting them out there, as I said, 5-10 minutes every third or fourth game, maybe. And the returns you're going to get from that kind of quartet that I just mentioned, I think are going to be pretty similar, regardless of who you really pick. None of them are going to have a huge impact. None of them are going to be part of your playoff rotation. We get that. It's just to put a body out there when you need it in the regular season and to try and lessen the workload on Kevon Looney and Draymond Green. And you know what? If that's Dwight Howard, then that's Dwight Howard. And I would be fine with that. Now, I do think, again, with the Garuba signing that, maybe the Warriors are more open here to a wing forward kind of being a part of their setup with the 14th roster spot. I spoke about Juan Toscano-Anderson at length last episode. I still think he is probably the one most in line for that 14th roster spot, just with the ability off the court that he has to provide a culture and a chemistry aspect that the Warriors really missed with his absence last season. So I think he's still probably first in line for me. But if it's not him, then it probably should be one of these other center options. And again, as I said, I don't think it really matters which one it actually is. Dwight was actually decent I know the Lakers were horrific in the 2021-22 season. I'll get into that in a second. But his numbers were decent, and Dwight Howard's numbers have always been decent. He averaged 5.9 rebounds in 16.2 minutes per game. He's always going to be an elite rebounder. If the game was just about rebounding, I feel like he could probably play till he's 50, right? He's just one of the best rebounders this league has ever seen. And so he can do that in his sleep, no worries. He averaged 6.2 points. The numbers were pretty good, right? He started 27 games that season for the Lakers. So his actual last stint, in fact, his last couple of stints in the league, Philly was a little bit different, but the Lakers in the bubble, that bubble year, he was very good for the Lakers. And then obviously his last season with them, pretty decent as well. It's a little bit unfair, I think, the fact that he didn't get a shot anywhere last season. The real question for Dwight is kind of the leadership aspect. That does he bring that? Is he going to be a plus for you chemistry wise and culture wise? I do go back to comments last offseason when he was talking about the fact that he actually wanted to go to the Warriors to provide some kind of leadership and coaching for James Wiseman. And I thought that was a really good comment, the fact that, he understands where he is now in his career and he wants to give back to the game, give back to younger players who are trying to make their way and become, as good as he was in his early years with the Orlando Magic. So I like that. Maybe he could do the same, and really, if he was to join the Warriors, maybe he does provide that kind of aspect to Trace Jackson-Davis and Usman Garuba and helps develop their game a little bit, albeit they're probably slightly different players to Dwight in a sense, although Jackson-Davis probably has elements of Dwight Howard in terms of the pick and roll, and hopefully for both Jackson-Davis and Garuba, maybe the rebounding more importantly is something that Dwight can teach them and bring them along with. So